Hello, hello, and welcome to the themoannaadams podcast, where we talk all things travel, wellness, and teenage girl. I'm your host, Moana, a full-time travel teen. I have a great episode for you this week, so let's get into it. Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode, where today we are talking all about journaling, why I think you should start, and how you can get started. I'm super excited to talk about today's episode, or to talk about today's topic, because I have put journaling into my daily life, and I absolutely love it, and I'm excited to share. But before we can do that, where in the country is Moana? I am in, where am I? New Hampshire. I am in New Hampshire, state 37 out of 48. We leave tomorrow to head to Maine. I'm excited to go to Maine, but I'm a little sad to leave New Hampshire because I really love it here. It's absolutely beautiful with all the leaves changing, and I love it. It's definitely one of my, maybe my top 10 states. There's a lot of them, and I think this one might fit into the top 10. I'd have to look at all of them on a map and remember each place, but I think it fits into my top 10. What I'm grateful for. I am super duper 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 grateful for the Jeep. We have a white Jeep Grand Cherokee XL, I think. My dad's gonna kill me if I got that wrong. I'm pretty sure that's right. But we got it at the beginning of the trip, right before we left, and it has taken us on so many adventures. It fits all of us really nicely, and we've been able to go off-roading in some of the national parks. We went in Big Bend National Park down in Texas. We did the Painted Hills Trail, I think is what it's called. I'm not sure, but the off-road trail that we went on, at the end, we could see the Painted Hills, and that was really incredible. I loved Big Bend. It definitely is not my favorite national park. The Grand Tetons is, but Big Bend has a lot of different landscapes, which I found really interesting, because throughout the park, everything changed so drastically. We actually almost skipped the center of the park, because that's where everyone goes, and we prefer to stay where there's less people. And I'm so glad that we didn't, because you would never believe the fact that there was, pine trees and thick forests right on top of this mountain in the middle of the desert. I was so surprised. So the Jeep is also where I record all of my episodes. The acoustics in here are really great, and I should probably close the sunroof because sound is probably going to bounce off of it. But, oh, I forgot the car's off. Well, I love it in here. It's great for recording, and I can't wait to record more episodes in here. For what I'm currently loving, I have already mentioned this a little bit, but I am loving all the colors in the trees here in the Northeast. They are brighter and bolder than I have ever seen before. Down in the South, we do have, the leaves do change a lot, but it's just different here, and I don't quite know exactly what it is about the trees up here, but it's just different. And I love fall already, and this has just made me fall even more in love with fall. So I am just absolutely in love with all of these colors. I can see right in front of me, there's a bright red maple tree, and a yellow and orange tree, and I don't know what kind of tree it is, but it is so beautiful. We also went to the library yesterday, and I got to get some school done in Everest, played around in the little playroom that was there, and I had a great view out this window with all these trees, and there was this beautiful, big, it looks like it was from a cartoon maple tree that was just so bright and colorful. So, now that we got where I'm at, currently loving and grateful is out of the way, let's get into the bulk of the episode. Journaling. I feel like when you want to start journaling, it can be overwhelming because there are so many different ways to journal and formats for journaling. I know that I was really overwhelmed when I first started and when I transitioned my format, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I definitely got very overwhelmed and pushed back starting because I just didn't know how to start. I personally started with bullet journaling. I had been watching, I might say this wrong, I'm pretty sure it's Caitlin's Corner. She's a YouTuber and she does lifestyle videos and bullet journaling videos. And I fell in love with her art and the way her bullet journal was. And I decided I was going to do that. This was about 2 years ago. And I loved it. I got a Dingbats journal in gray, a dotted one, and I started journaling, and it looked great. I still think it looks great. But that was during COVID. When I started going back to school, I didn't have as much free time as I did before. And so I kept pushing off doing my journal for the month or the week, and it just never got done. I also had gotten a Rocket book, and I was using that as my planner instead of my bullet journal. So really, I just stopped journaling for about 6 months, maybe. I think it was 6 months. I just quit journaling altogether. I just didn't have the time for bullet journaling, and I didn't realize that there was another option. So then I got into, honestly, I don't even know what to call this style of bullet journaling. I don't even know what to call this style of journaling, but it's just your basic writing out your thoughts kind of a situation is what I do now. But before you can actually start journaling, you need a journal and a pencil. I highly recommend a pencil instead of a pen because I try not to be, but I can be a little bit of a perfectionist, and the pen will definitely get in the way of that, so I definitely suggest getting a pencil. But you also need a journal. There are probably a million different journals that you could buy, but the reality is that you don't need a 5-minute journal. You don't need a Dingbats journal. You don't need the same journal that I have, which I honestly don't even know what it's called. It was like $8 off Amazon. You just need whatever you have. So if that means using a journal with ripped pages, with a couple pages ripped out, then that's fine. You just need somewhere to write down your thoughts and keep them collected. I love the journal that I have now. Like I said, it was only like $8 off Amazon. I will definitely link it in the show notes. It has a white cover with a bookmark and a closing strap, and that's it. That's all I wanted. I wanted something clean and inviting, and so I got a bright white, even though I knew it might get pencil marks on it, but it's fine. And I love it. I use it every time I journal. I never even think about getting a new one because I just love mine. It has simple lines. It has a section to put the date at the top, and that's it. And it works just fine for me. But if you think that you might need something with brighter colors or something more fit to your personality, get one that fits what you want. You want your journal to be inviting and motivating. Something that you're excited to get out and write in. And excited that it's going to hold your thoughts and everything that you need to write down. I definitely suggest getting a bookmark and a clasp in yours because the bookmark's going to help you keep your place instead of flipping through pages to find it, and the clasp is going to keep it together so the pages don't get bent. And I would definitely suggest getting something with a harder cover. Don't get a straight soft cover because it could get ruined. Now, let's talk about formats. There are a billion different formats, but the most important thing is that you pick one that fits you and your lifestyle. Your format will probably change and evolve as you continue to journal. I know even in the last 4 or 5 months, mine has changed like 3 or 4 times. So it's not a big deal if you need to change it. So my first journaling format after I quit bullet journaling and got my new journal that I use now, it was 3 things I'm grateful for at the top of the page. And then it was, today I want to, and then I would write down the things that I wanted to get done, and then whatever random journal prompt I could find. Then it changed into keeping the gratefuls, then moving to today's top 3, so 3 main things I wanted to get done, and then again, a random journal prompt. Now, it's changed again, and it's 3 things I'm grateful for still, because gratitude is very important to me. The next episode that will come out will be about gratitude, and I'm very excited for that episode. But after gratitude, it was I am statements, so I'm not going to share what mine are, but everyone's are different, everyone's are personal and unique, but I started doing those, and then a journal prompt, but not just a random one. I started being more specific and intentional about which journal prompts I was using, and paying attention to what I needed mentally and what I needed to get from my head to paper. I think it's going to make or break your journaling if you pick prompts that don't fit you or don't excite you. Personally, I find sometimes I come up with my own prompts, but most of the time I find them off places like Pinterest, Instagram, and other podcasts. A couple of podcasts that I know have given me some is the Not Your Typical podcast with Caitlin Nolan. She gives one at the end of every episode. And the In Bloom podcast, I believe she has at least one, if not more, episodes about journal prompts. And I pick one that fits that day and what I've been thinking about. If I'm feeling burnt out, I'm going to pick journal prompts for burnout. If I'm feeling a little insecure, then I'm going to pick something more based around self-love. And I think it's important to pick ones that really fit you and pay attention to what your prompts are. Pick ones that are more positive. It's important to every once in a while look at the negatives and evaluate, but don't pick one that's negative every single day. Keep things positive but real. And don't censor yourself either. It took me a long time to not censor myself, and I'm still working on not censoring myself. But trust the journal, trust your pen, trust your brain, and write what you need to write down. Get it on paper. And I promise it will make you feel better. It'll make you feel more organized for sure. Now, that leads me into why to start. Number 1, like I just said, it helps keep your thoughts organized. I am constantly having new ideas and thinking about a billion different things at once. So taking 10 minutes to slow down and write down everything I need to write down is so incredibly helpful and has definitely helped reduce my stress and anxiety a little bit. And it's also helped with my productivity because I'm getting the things that I'm thinking about down on paper. And once they're on paper, I can focus more on the work that I need to get done, whether it's for school or content, and focus on that. And I already know everything else that I'm thinking about, I already wrote down. So I'm not worried about those things. I can come back to those things. I won't forget. It's written down. Another thing is it's definitely boosted my self-confidence because the best way to bring up your self-confidence is when you keep promises with yourself. So if you decide, I'm going to start journaling, and you don't, you might not notice it's that caused it, but that definitely could lower your self-confidence because you're not confident. You're not going to be confident in the promises that you make to yourself and the things that you tell yourself you can do or you can do. And that's going to really reduce that self-confidence. So by listening to yourself, keeping that promise with yourself, and actually doing what you say you're going to do by journaling. If you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to journal this morning, and then you don't, there goes your self-confidence. It's lowered now. And it's okay if you need to miss a day or skip a day. I definitely don't do it every day. Most travel days, I don't do it, and most experience days, I don't do it because we're trying to get up and get ready and get out of the house. You don't have to do it every day, but if you're telling yourself, I need to do it today, and then you don't, that's going to be detrimental. So make sure that you're using it as a confidence booster and you're actually doing what you say and you tell yourself you're going to do. So just a few final thoughts. I already said, but don't censor yourself. Don't worry about grammar or spelling. I am absolutely terrible with grammar and spelling. At first, I would try and fix it, but now I'm just focused on getting all of my thoughts on the piece of paper. And sometimes my thoughts come too fast to notice that I'm spelling something wrong or my grammar's incorrect. Sometimes even I'll start to write a word and I'll only write the first few letters, and then I'll have another thought, so I have to write that down. And it's okay. If you have to, you can go back and fix it, but you don't have to. If you feel like you need to, go ahead, go back and fix it, but you don't. It's not a requirement. Nobody else is reading this. It's not getting graded. It's not getting sent to anybody. It's just for you. And make sure you understand your own writing. Sometimes I tend to write things down and then I'll go back and read them again, and I have no idea what I was talking about. So make it make sense. Make sure that it will make sense to future you in case you need to go back and read your writing. And it doesn't have to be pretty unless you want it to be. When I was bullet journaling, I felt like it had to be perfect because I was seeing all these people on Pinterest and YouTube, and their bullet journals looked absolutely perfect and beautiful. And I think Caitlin did a really good job. She never took out when she made mistakes. She would just show how she would correct them. And for a long time I thought it just had to be perfect, and that took up so much of my time. When I used to bullet journal, it'd take me a couple of hours to do just a few spreads, and nobody has time for that. If you do, go you, but I don't. So it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Go get yourself a journal and go write out your thoughts. Get organized. I think that's all I got. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to give this podcast a rate and review, as well as follow me on all my socials linked in the show notes. Don't forget to drink some water, and I'll talk to you later.